Baby and Sibi are father and son who are well known in the small city of Pushbandom. When he was young, Baby used to work at the cardamom plantation owned by Johnson and his family. Baby and Johnson have always been the best of friends. Baby has always shown his loyalty when he worked there as the farm manager. Now that he's retired, his son Sibi has taken over his managerial duties. Sibi is popularly known as Simple Sibi, due to his trustworthy reputation. Most people would come to him to ask for advice or to solve simple matters. All seems well in the simple life of people in Pushbandom. That is, until Baby falls in love. In his retirement, Baby has become an Instagram influencer, with thousands following his content. It's then that he reconnects with his childhood love, Cicely. They become a couple, but their relationship isn't as welcome as anyone thinks. The people know that Cicely hasn't legally separated from her first husband, Joy, even though Joy was the one who left his family years ago. And Cicely's brother, Papan, is strongly against the relationship, although others may think Papan just doesn't like Baby. Sibi discusses this concern with Johnson and his wife, Anita. The old couple have been like second parents to Sibi, and he fondly calls them Johnson Papa and Anita Mommy. Johnson urges Sibi to resolve this issue. Johnson thinks it's better for Baby and Cicely to get married rather than stay low-key in their relationship. Speaking of marriage, Anita's main concern is her own son. Johnson and Anita have 2 children, with whom Sibi is also close. The older brother, Sharon Chitai, lives in the United Kingdom, and Anita wants him to get married. The youngest is Sosha, who has opened a fashion boutique in the city. Though Sibi doesn't put his nose into Sosha's business, he respects her passion for making it big with her entrepreneurship. Sibi chides his father later that night for his actions in taking Cicely on a date, which only enraged Papan. He's not keen to get involved in his father's mess, no matter how much Sibi loves his father. Sibi gets another headache. Papan, despite disliking Baby, respects Sibi's arbitration skills, so Papan asks the guy to mediate between him and Johnson's family in a discussion about arranged marriage. Papan's nephew named Ronnie is an eligible bachelor who, Papan thinks, is suitable to marry Sosha. Sibi initially doesn't want to mediate, but when he sees the picture of Ronnie's beautiful sister, he thinks he can propose to her, and so he agrees. The 2 families meet. The discussion is formal and polite, with the exception of Baby mentioning his secret route whenever he visits Cicely, right in front of an irate Papan. In the kitchen, Sibi agrees with Anita that Ronnie's sister is indeed beautiful and eligible. But to Sibi's dismay, Anita has decided that the sister will become Chitai's wife. Then, Sibi receives a call from Sosha, who is in the garden with Ronnie. Sibi witnesses how Sosha rejects Ronnie without regret or remorse. But what surprises him is Sosha's revelation, that she and Sibi have been in love for a long time. Ronnie's ego is hurt, so he tells Sosha he doesn't like her too before walking away. Sibi chides Sosha for lying and hurting Ronnie, but with a serious expression, Sosha confirms that she's telling the truth. She loves Sibi. This sends Sibi into a stressful sulking. Well, he also has feelings for Sosha since they were young. But the fact that she's Johnson's daughter makes things complicated. Sibi respects Johnson, and he values the trust Johnson has in him. Sibi decides to ignore Sosha during a community gathering, but Sosha doesn't like this. She confronts Sibi to know his real feelings. She finds out he's weak in the knees when it comes to her. Eventually, Sibi lets his true feelings show, and he and Sosha become a couple. For a month, Sibi and Sosha hide their relationship from everyone. They find time to spend together, and it's those moments when they are the happiest. However, they'll have to tell their parents about them one day, and that day comes soon once Chitai arrives from the United Kingdom. Chitai looks for Sibi in the farm. Knowing his reputation for mediation, Chitai feels comfortable telling his childhood friend about his dilemma. But before they can have their conversation, Sibi gets a disturbing call. His father has been attacked by Papan and his men while walking with Cicely. Sibi doesn't waste time and rushes to where Papan is. Sibi has his bolo knife with him, simply to intimidate the men. But he has no real need to use it, as he easily defeats them with his bare hands. He then tells Papan that whatever happens, Baby will marry Cicely. The action-packed encounter gets recorded and uploaded online, making Sibi more famous with his charisma. But Sibi is more worried about his father, who's in the hospital for minor injuries. Father Dennis, the head of the city's parish, is visiting Baby when Papan and his men also arrive. The priest reminds Papan that due to his actions, the church can nullify Cicely's first marriage and that Papan can be arrested. But Papan still stubbornly believes he's in the right and that his sister should never marry Baby. After this brief encounter, Sibi meets with Chitai. Instead of a lighthearted conversation and reminiscing, Sibi gets another headache. Chitai is about to get married to his partner in the United Kingdom. He needs Sibi's help to let his family know. Sibi knows how Chetai's family has been looking forward to his marriage to a woman of their choosing, so this issue is already hard enough to address. But this gets more complicated when Sibi finds out that Chetai is in a relationship with another man. The city of Pushbandom is still conservative, so these kinds of relationships are heavily frowned upon. And since Johnson's family has a good reputation, Sibi knows that this news won't go down well. Nathan, Chetai's partner, arrives in their city. He seems bright and interested in Chetai's hometown. And although he's introduced as Chetai's friend, he doesn't mind that much because he can see their genuine hospitality. However, he finds out that Chetai is expected to enter an arranged marriage. Even though it's made clear between Chetai and the woman that no marriage will happen, Nathan is still hurt. His own family back home has accepted their relationship. Nathan assumes that Chetai will eventually open their relationship to his family, but it doesn't happen. In the end, Chetai sends his lover back to the United Kingdom, promising that once he returns, their marriage will push through. Nathan is hurt. But it's especially hard for Chetai because he can't bear to see Nathan feel disregarded. Unbeknownst to both, someone has accidentally heard their conversation and found out the truth. Meanwhile, Sibi is still troubled by how he's going to help Chetai. He's watched many videos related to the situation, but nothing seems to help. Sibi decides to tell his father his dilemmas. First, that Chetai is gay. Second, that he and Sosha are in love. And third, that no one should know about these two dilemmas. Baby is so shocked just with the first problem. He needs to have a medicinal drink just to calm down. Baby understands that the problem Sibi has will negatively impact the trust between his family and Johnson's. The next day, as Sibi accompanies Johnson, he tries to find a way to break the news about Chetai. Unfortunately, he fails. When he chaperones Anita to the church later, Sibi finds out that she already knows his son's secret. She only needs Sibi to confirm. Helpless, Sibi nods, much to his disappointment for how things have turned out, and to Anita's heartbreak. Sibi calls Sosha that night to relieve some stress. He's about to tell her everything when he sees Johnson walking towards their house. He looks miserable, which makes Sibi assume Johnson already knows. Sibi cuts his call to Sosha and follows Johnson, treading carefully on what to do next. But Baby, who's drinking his stress away and is already tipsy, doesn't know how to read the room. He intends to comfort Johnson by inviting him to have a drink. Instead, he innocently but callously reveals that Chetai is gay and that Sibi and Sosha are in a relationship. Johnson is aghast. He especially takes Sosha's relationship badly, and this earns Sibi a slap. Johnson accuses him of deceiving them for years just to get to his daughter and eventually take over his plantation. Johnson declares that both Baby and Sibi are not welcome in his house anymore, and they should never step foot in his farm again. Johnson returns to his home, confiscating Chetai's passport and ignoring Sosha. Baby, still drunk, remains focused on his own dilemma. He hasn't seen Cicely for a couple of days due to his encounter with Papan earlier. But nothing can stop him from seeing his love. Using his secret route, Baby finally meets Cicely. She finds him amusing for assuming and exaggerating things, but she assures him they are not breaking up. Just when Baby is about to share Chetai's secret, Cicely's daughter comes out. The teen is furious to see Baby still wooing her mother, so she demands the man to leave. Baby is embarrassed. He respects the daughter's stand regarding his relationship with Cicely. He wishes that the daughter will see his genuine intentions and will give them her blessing. The daughter scolds Cicely for acting inappropriately when everyone knows her true father is still alive, but Cicely has had enough. She tells her daughter there's nothing illicit about her relationship with Baby. They have suffered because the father abandoned them, and it's time for Cicely to find her own happiness. It's time for her to live her life as she wants, and not how other people think of it. So if the daughter still doesn't understand, she's free to go. It looks like the daughter is ashamed of her actions and has realized her mother's wishes. The next day, Sosha confronts Sibi and demands to know why he hasn't answered her calls, since there's no point in hiding it anymore. Sibi reveals Chetai's intention to marry his gay lover and that Johnson has already found out about Sosha's relationship with him. Sibi feels it's unfair that he gets slapped and thrown out of his livelihood, all because he's in the middle of all this mess. But from Sosha's point of view, all of this could have been avoided if only Sibi had told her his problems. She would have definitely helped him and made sure their relationship wouldn't get jeopardized. Sosha realizes that if Sibi can keep secrets from her now, it will not go well for their relationship in the long run. Right there and then, Sosha breaks up with Sibi. While Sibi's love life is crashing down, things take a turn in Baby's relationship with Cicely. First, Cicely's daughter finally accepts Baby as her mother's lover, following the brief but intense discussion between them. And second, Joy, Cicely's former husband, has finally returned. At first, Baby is scared that Joy's return will jeopardize his relationship with Cicely, but it turns out Joy is actually a chill man. He's aware of leaving his family behind to chase a carefree lifestyle. He also knows about Baby's relationship with his former, and he has nothing against it. Perhaps he returned after realizing that he needs to give them his blessings and to let them go. In addition, Joy returned around the time of Holy Week, and he has a special role to fulfill. On Maundy Thursday, the local church performs a skit depicting the scene where Jesus' feet were washed. Sibby takes the role of Mary Magdalene so he can atone for his sins in front of Johnson, who has taken the role of Jesus. But Johnson stubbornly ignores Sibby. Anita and Sosha ignore him too. That night, Baby and Sibby find out that Joy will play the role of Pontius Pilate and is intending to seriously fulfill the role of Jesus' torturer. The father and son want to save Johnson. They talk to Joy, who agrees with their plan. Somehow, Baby and Sibby manage to convince Papan to substitute for Johnson. On Good Friday, during the procession depicting the Passion of Christ, Joy takes pleasure in whipping the one who plays Jesus, not realizing it's his former brother-in-law. Papan ends up in the hospital, and while he's down, Cicely takes this chance to reveal that Joy, Baby, and Sibby have conspired to have Papan substitute as Jesus. This shows that there's no bad blood between Joy and Baby, and that Joy has given his blessing, so there should be no more reason for Papan to stop Baby and Cicely from loving each other. At last, Papan accepts defeat. But the story doesn't end here. Sibby still has to settle with Johnson and fight for his love for Sosha. As it happens, Johnson has agreed with Papan that Sosha will marry Roni. Sosha is devastated, but she chooses her brother Chitayi over her willfulness. She approaches her father and convinces him to return Chitayi's passport so he can return to the United Kingdom. Johnson, in light of the recent events, has seen his errors. He follows Sosha's advice and returns Chitayi's passport. He says he doesn't hate Chitayi or Nathan. He just wishes he should have known his son better so misunderstanding wouldn't tear the family apart. Chitayi is so grateful. He cries in his father's arms. Meanwhile, Sosha calls Sibby and angrily tells him she's going to get married to that Roni guy. This sends Sibby into a dramatic rage. He retrieves his shotgun, destroys his Jeep's headlight, and then drives towards Johnson's house. One may think things will turn ugly and bloody, but Sibby only wants a chance to talk to Sosha and to convince the family that he's good enough for her. Baby, who has heard about Sibby's recklessness, follows him and tries to support his son. Baby explains that it's Chitayi who pulled Sibby into this mess, and Sosha won't even defend Sibby. And yet, because Johnson is disappointed, he throws both Baby and Sibby out of their plantation and their family. Johnson should have a serious talk with his family. With that, Baby pulls Sibby into going. They leave the gun and the Jeep, as those are owned by Johnson anyway. It may look like it's the end for both Sibby and Sosha, but all's well that ends well. As Baby and Cicely take their wedding vows, Sibby and Sosha are right beside them, taking vows of their own. Sosha finally fights for Sibby, knowing that all he's done in the past is for her family's sake. They take their family photo with Papan forcibly included. Johnson takes a video call from Chitayi, who sits beside his husband Nathan, and proudly shows the new members of the family.